Guys, is this a black swan event for Nvidia? The Deepseek scenario. This is what we will talk about in this video, and I believe that it could be a huge chance for all Nvidia or potential Nvidia investors, okay? We will talk about what it means and dissect it in a very simple way so you understand what is going on. And pre-market, I was waking up this morning and I saw Nvidia down like 5% or 7%. I was like, what is going on? Because like the DeepSeek story was kind of already talked about last week, but over the weekend it got like a huge viral effect, and it reached Monday and everybody just dumping their shares. By the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is Danny and I am a growth opportunity investor. I look for crazy opportunities. I also trade on the market. So I bought, for example, a Tesla when it was an $18 company. I put my life savings in. I went through a minus 50% drawdown in Tesla stock, but then finally, currently we are somewhere like 500, so $18 to 500. This is essentially, a huge opportunity, and I think this opportunity comes every single year, every single decade. You have multiple of those, and Nvidia is, definitely a story. If you look into the last 5 years, 2000% in increase. It's absolutely insane, especially specifically here when ChatGPT was released. If you bought Nvidia back then for 30, you made a very nice profit so far. But let's talk about quickly, if you haven't heard, or if you have heard, like what's going on. Okay, so first of all, you have, and I will show you this in a presentational way. So, big tech, essentially, they are buying Nvidia chips. Okay, so you have big tech here, and they all want to be in the forefront. And they are actually spending, a pile of cash, okay, to essentially acquire Nvidia chips. All right. So you essentially have here big tech with big money buying Nvidia chips. Okay. Let's say Blackwell chip. This is the new one, by the way. This guy is very happy. Okay, so he actually sells that to our friends here in Microsoft, in Google, and so on and so forth. Okay, now what happened was actually there is a Chinese startup. They also bought Nvidia chips, and this is important, guys. They have Nvidia chips. Okay. And it was a kind of research product, and they said like, well, we have like, and like the big tech, they are spending like billions of dollars, like with a B. So the tech startup said like, well, we have a couple of chips, but we don't have so much that we can work on, right? So they said, okay, we will essentially try to make it just a little bit more, let's say, efficient. Okay, so DeepSeek comes around, right, and creates something that is very similar to ChatGPT, which is kind of the number one product that everybody is using for, like less than a tenth of the money than the big tech. So that's the market, and the market says, wait a second, so what is going on, right? Will Nvidia sell less chips? Will Google, Apple, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, are they spending too much? What happened with OpenAI, right? All of these questions, all of this uncertainty is there because DeepSeek, with this small pile of cash, is actually doing this same amount of work. But first, we need to clarify, guys, okay? We need to clarify that DeepSeek is also using the same chips, okay? So I think they are using the H100 chips. So this is the previous model of Nvidia. Okay, so so essentially this is what they use. So first of all, you see that the chips that we are using, the hardware that is Nvidia. Okay, so that's still the point. It's just less. Okay. Second, which means that from a couple of players that currently buying these chips, you can have, you know, now more of companies that are like Deepseek. Okay, so you will have much more Deepseeks because like everybody can now do something like ChatGPT, but with less cost. Okay, now what do you think they will do? Okay, what they will do, they essentially will all come and buy chips. Okay, because they see like, hey, you know, we can use that, and we can essentially buy more chips. So in the end of the day, you will have something that I was seeing also discussed on X a lot, which is essentially I think it's called Jefferson. Let me see, what was it? I think Satya talked about it. The CEO of Microsoft talked about it. Yeah, Jefferson Paradox. Okay, the Jefferson Paradox is essentially saying that coal, for example, coal burning factories in 19th century Manchester improved technology allowing coal to fuel the Industrial Revolution, greatly increasing the consumption of coal. So you are having a new technology or new upgrade or new software coming out and says, oh, this is now much more efficient, and actually this will drive more you know, demand for chips and for the hardware. And who's the number one? So even doesn't matter if the big tech or Deepseek or any similar companies to Deepseek will essentially buy the Nvidia chips. So I think that if you're looking into the Nvidia clients, okay, let's have a picture here. Nvidia clients, it's something like that, right? So everybody wants to be the leader in AI, and everybody buys the chips of Nvidia, and looks like something like that, right? So they are like coming, and Nvidia sells the shuffle, and they all like trying to build the AI, and this is how it currently looks, right? So essentially you have very, very few clients of Nvidia. Okay, so here you can see actually this is maybe a good illustration where you see the overall revenue. Okay, so the overall revenue, like 20% is Microsoft, then you have 10% is Nvidia, 5% Meta, you know, a little bit less is Tesla, Alphabet, Amazon. So 45% of Nvidia revenue is essentially by the big techs. Okay, so and I think we will have something of a consumer moment where you will have much more clients that will build their own systems, that will need the chips, and that they will also essentially buy Nvidia chips, because there's nothing better than Nvidia chips. Even remember that, you know, even Deepseek, even when it's more efficient and they did it with a less budget, they did it with Nvidia chips. Okay, so this is very important to remember, to really say, okay, you know, this is something that is really important to understand. It's like nothing goes around Nvidia. So I think for the stock price, we might see, you know, for Nvidia, a kind of more downside maybe. You know, if you're looking into the charts, I think the next levels are like 115, right? So we broke through 140, so that's why, you know, 130s is the next stop. We broke through that, and the next one was 120, 130, and now you see we are here at the levels of 127. Okay, this levels actually, if you're looking into a longer horizon, this levels that we are currently testing is, let us see, when did we, so this levels is actually from back of October, okay? October levels, August levels, right? July of last year levels. So this is the levels that we're currently testing. Yeah, it will be interesting what will happen, right? So, and then obviously I think the next big level is somewhere around the 100 mark. And when we broke, I don't think we break through 100. Like, this will be insane. Like, the PE ratio of Nvidia is actually not so expensive that I believe that it's getting quite cheap. So if you're going, for example, Nvidia PE ratio, right? And you use the macro trends, which is like a nice website to actually compare the history of those PE ratios, you see that the PE ratio currently at around 50 is not that high. It's kind of the same PE ratios that we had in 2022, but Nvidia revenue grow so much that the price just kept on adapting, right? So just in 2023, like all the hype came together, we went to a PE ratio of 144, and I think we can go there with the next kind of hype for Nvidia. But currently, you know, I think we could test the PE ratios of 2020, 2019, of 2030. Like, this is a very interesting area to buy if we halve the price of Nvidia, or we go down, let's say 30%, and then, you know, the earnings will just show us that the revenue is there. And remember, there's a big earnings, ASML earnings, which is the provider of the machines that AI manufacturing companies are using. So the manufacturer of the chips, for example, Taiwan Semiconductor, is using the machines of ASML, which is like a Netherlands company, and they will come out with earnings on the 29th of January. So what we are trading, I think now it's a very tricky part this morning. So I think that you can either, you know, I think that the easier trade is to just bet that it's going a little bit more down because the market opens, everyone is a little bit in the uncertainty, so it's a kind of sell-off. But I then think that we could then see like a turnaround Tuesday, tomorrow, where at least, you know, we will get some of the sell-off back, right? So that's essentially my point. Long term, for the next 1-2 years, I don't have any issues because, like, you know, all of that I just showed you today is very interesting, very strong for Nvidia. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think, but also make sure to subscribe and like. And if you want to trade and receive our trades all automatically, there's the link into the description as well as in the first comment. So looking forward to you know, see what you think, and hopefully you start to trade with us. It's now the most exciting time to trade, and would love to see you on board as well. So see you tomorrow.